and another 72-hour fast. In fact, we're not at 72 hours. We're actually at 7456. 76 plus hours. That's right, 76 plus hours in this week's fast. And you've joined me. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level, creating that life we've always wanted. And in this year, we're living that limitless life. The life that says that we are not allowing anything to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be healthy. We're not allowing anything from outside, and we're certainly not allowing anything from inside us to prevent us from doing what we need. We're showing up with our best selves, our best health, and our best plans for our life. Hey, if you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments, because we'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music, and let you know that we're happy that you're here. If you have questions as we move throughout the show, go ahead and drop those in the comments. And I thought that we would do something a little different today. We'll start our show. Normally we do this at the end of the show, but we're gonna go ahead and start the show by looking at the things that I'm going to eating to break this fast. And if you are here, if you're new, this is the first time that you've been here, someone invited you, you're like, what in the world are these folks doing? Well, diabetes and metabolic disease, those are like those are the things, right? That's the pandemic. That's the epidemic that we have. There are over 1 billion people on the planet right now that have diabetes. There are over 460 million people that have prediabetes. We're not even including in that list that 1 billion, that's billion with a B, by the way, that have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fatty liver, and we can go on and on and on down that path. But these are all metabolic diseases. And so in this space, we're talking to adults who have type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes. I'm going to pause there for a second because I want that to sink in, right? The word that I'm using, type 2 diabetes, we want to reverse diabetes. We want to reverse it. And you're listening right now, and you're saying, wait, okay, I don't have to listen because I'm not diabetic. Well, hold on, before you go on, before you move away, diabetes is the prototypic metabolic disease. That means that if we, and it's on the spectrum of all the things that I just talked about. Diabetes is not a sugar problem. We've talked about it as a sugar problem, but the high blood sugar is actually just a consequence of what's going on in our body. So what is the real problem? The real problem is the insulin that we have in our system. And whether it's not working, we're not producing enough, whatever the cause may be, our insulin levels are high. So we probably should call it hyperinsulinemia. And insulin is great at what it does. It is responsible for keeping our blood sugar levels normal. But I tell people, it's kind of like when I was a kid, my mom would go away to work, and there were a bunch of us. There were 6 of us, right? 3 boys, 3 girls. And she'd say, clean the house. And of course, she'd be going away, and we would not clean the house, right? We would do everything other than clean the house. And so on her way home, she would either call or she'd show up because she never took her keys. And she would ring the bell. We lived on a 3rd-story apartment in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy. And so we would look out. Somebody would look out, and somebody would slowly walk down the stairs. We'd yell, we're coming! And the rest of us would be scattered around the house trying to clean the house. And so she would come in, and the house would be spotless. Great. You could eat off the floor. Unless she opened a drawer or a closet or looked under the bed. That's right. That's where we stuffed all the stuff. Well, insulin is just like that. It's great as what it does. It brings blood sugars down. That's what it's supposed to do. And it does an amazing job at it. But here's the question. Where does the sugar go? I mean, it doesn't just poof and vanish. We don't have a magic wand in the body that poofs the sugar away. Well, it has to go somewhere. And where does it go? It goes into fat cells, so we put on weight. It goes into the liver, so we have fatty liver. It is elevated, so it causes the vessels in the body to be stiffer, so we have high blood pressure. The body is trafficking the excess calories through the blood into fat cells and muscles, and that's called high cholesterol. It dysregulates the pituitary, and so we have something called polycystic ovarian syndrome. Do you see all the things that the excess insulin does? And so in the space of trying to reverse diabetes, all the things that we do, all the things that we talk about helps with all the things along the spectrum. That's right. And so if we can reverse diabetes, if we can put those things in place, we can also do what we need to do to help our blood sugars get better. And that's where you've caught us. That's where you found us right now. We are reversing diabetes. We're working on how do we go about reversing diabetes and putting us in the space so that we can be metabolically successful in what we do. Well, welcome to everybody, whatever platform you're on, whether you're joining us on LinkedIn or Twitch or Instagram or Facebook, and of course here on YouTube, we welcome you to this space. I see some of our community members out there already. We're going to go ahead and say hi to them in just a moment. But before I do that, I am currently 76 plus hours into this week's fast. As you know, and for those of you, once again, who's joining us, every week we do a fast. On our main show, Dwain Woode MD Live, on Monday, we're walking through the Limitless Living Path, which says that we are going to do everything possible to set ourselves up for success as it relates to our health and the other aspects of our life. We're walking through that path. We're taking that journey. And then the tools that we learn, balanced bites, fasting, right? How to create a meal, all of those things, we come back and we do those on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday show. And we did a Wednesday, we did a Thursday, and of course here's Friday as we do a review of fasting. And that is what you caught us doing right now. We want to make sure that you're using the tools well. And so I do a 72-hour fast, and I encourage everyone in the community to do at least a 24-hour fast once a week. Now, this is unless you have some medical reason why you cannot fast, and you need to make sure you're checking with your doctor. So pregnant women, children, people who have eating disorders, all of those are people that you need to make sure that you're checking with your healthcare provider, and you may need some guidance, okay? But everybody else, you can do a fast, a 24-hour fast once a week. So we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. But like I said, I wanted to start this episode a little differently than we normally do. Normally, if we're starting an episode of fasting and we're talking about breaking the fast, I have some things here that I'm going to eat to break the fast. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. All right, so I've got some things here, and I usually eat these at the end of the show. But what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and do this at the beginning of the show because I want you to see my blood sugars as they change. So we'll put that up as we move through the episode so you can see what's going on. And so what I have right now, I have some beef broth right here. I've got chickpeas, and I've got some smoked beef sausage. So those are the three things that I've got. Now in this, the only thing theoretically that should be causing any spikes in my blood sugar is this stuff, right? So the chickpeas, because it has carbs in it. This is, of course, processed. And, when we talk about our balanced bites, we say, minimize processed foods. This is processed. And when I looked at the package, there was 1 gram of carb. And this is from a mixture. And we've shown this is the same one that we've used on our previous episode, so you guys know about this. So we'll see what my blood sugars are currently. So let me actually move these over because I couldn't find a good way of getting everything on the screen. So I'm going to move these over, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my meters, and we'll just use them. We'll just have everything here together. The other thing that I want to do is we're going to put up my Dexcom and my Libre so you can see what those blood sugars are, and then we'll get into our discussion about fasting. So let me go ahead and pull that up really quickly. So if you are fasting right now, you're in the community, you're watching us, go ahead and put yes. I had, when we did our check-in a couple of days ago, we had a bunch of people who put yes. So go ahead and do that now. If you are currently fasting, put yes. If you're going into a fast, put going. So yes, I'm currently in a fast, and going if you're going into a fast. So we'll get those up in just a minute. I had to restart. One of them is saying replace the sensor. Actually, well, maybe that's a good space for us to be. Let me see. What do I have on this? Can I do it? Yep. Okay. So let's actually, that's a good thing. So let me do this, and so you can see what this is saying. So right now it's saying replace the sensor. So give me a minute. Let me move over here. So just hang out. Okay, so let's see. This is the, I think it's on this side. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do something here really quickly. So hold on. Don't leave. Here we go. All right, so I'm back. And so what I'm going to do, and we're going to do that right now, you guys get to see this live and in person. So this is my Libre, my Freestyle Libre. And so here's my box that I picked up from the pharmacy just a little while ago. So we're going to go ahead and open that up, and we're going to go ahead and change it right now, right? Because I want that to also be picking up here in a little while. So, and the way this works, let's go ahead and change. Let's do this one. So this is like a big screw. Let me do it this way. So it's like a big screw. You basically screw that part, screw it apart, and in there is the sensor. Okay, and as you know, I wear two sensors. So I've got one. I've got the Dexcom on this side, and then I have the Libre on this side. So this is the Libre. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm hoping I can pull this up far enough to get that out without causing. Okay, there it is. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead, and that's it right there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that off, and it just works just like a Band-Aid basically. You take it off, and the sensor is in here. And I usually tell people when they do this to kind of make a 90-degree angle with their arm, right? And I usually put mine closer to my elbow. It based on the manufacturer, it's supposed to be go further up. But the reason I put it lower down is that if I put it up higher, when I'm going through the door, or when I'm sleeping, or when I get in the car and I put my seatbelt on, I tend to snag it, and that causes some issues. Sometimes it rips it off. And so I put it lower down because I protect my elbows. I don't go through a door and hit my elbow, right? But I can go through the door and graze the back of my arm. And so I'm going to put it a little lower down. So I basically just find a spot, and this goes right here. And basically you press it in. So I'm gonna put that right there. And you press it, that puts it in. And then I take this off, and then I run my finger along. There's like a little tape there. So let's do that. And then we're gonna come back to here. And now that I've got that on my arm, we're gonna say next. And it says scan sensor. So I'm gonna hit that button. And now it says take the phone and really just put it there. And it says ready soon. And it says in 60 minutes we'll get our reading. So I wanted to put this on so that it gets started. So we won't be able to get what the blood sugars are based on that unless we're on for 60 minutes, but we'll see. But definitely we'll have the results from our Dexcom, which right now says that my blood sugar is 76. Let's get that one out of there. Okay, so now I have the new sensor on, the new Libre sensor. I've got the Dexcom on, which we'll use to monitor what the blood sugars are going to do. Okay. The other thing I have on deck right now is I have I'm trying not to get all the food in there, but that's okay. It is what it is, right? So I've got my contour, and I've got my Keto Mojo. And as you guys know, if you've been watching the last couple of days, the Keto Mojo has been giving an issue, and I think it's actually okay. I use different strips. It's still coming up as 0.1 as for my ketones. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugar. So here is the contour. Let's get a strip out for that. All right, get back in there. Let's get that in. And here's the Keto Mojo. We're going to open that up. So the brown one, of course, is glucose. Get that in here. And then the blue is our ketone. So I'm going to open that also, even though I'm not using it quite yet, because that helps me prevent from having another finger stick. And in my container here, I have different lancets. So I'm going to grab this one. Right. And actually, maybe I could do it this way. Yeah, let's do that. All right, I think that's a little better. We'll see. All right, so here's my lancet. So I grab it, and I basically do my own finger stick. I don't use the spring-loaded ones. So just grab that, and ow, 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 ow. Hopefully that gives me a brisk drop of blood. Let's go ahead and get this started. This is the contour. Another drop. We'll get that on here for the Keto Mojo. See what those numbers are. And go ahead and once that comes up, so 49 for the contour and 52 for the Keto Mojo. And let's go ahead and grab this one. Now you'll see there that it says that it's 76. All right, so right there is the Dexcom. Let's get this out, get the new sensor in, and this is the ketone. And get that started. Okay, awesome. All right, so we'll get those off the screen here, and let's go ahead and get our food. So here, and we'll talk here in a minute about about breaking the fast. But for right now, this is what we have. So I've got some beef broth, I've got some sausage, and I've got some chickpeas. Okay, so I'm going to start with the broth. And this is my first meal. Let's do this. Okay. And so what I want to do is I want to show you what happens to the blood sugars, and we will come back and look at this here in a little while. But for right now, let's go ahead and put this back so you can get a good view of what it is that I'm eating. So I've got beef broth, I've got chickpeas, garbanzo beans, and I've got sausage. And this is about 5 ounces of smoked sausage. This is this is a can, and then this is probably about a cup, almost a cup of broth. And my blood sugar right now, you'll see on the screen, is 76. We just changed my Libre, so we can't see what the blood sugar is. But when that comes up, we'll come back and we'll take a look at that. So we'll see what this is what's happening. And so let's go ahead and do it. So first, here it is, y'all. The first bite, the first stuff for 76 plus hours. Let's see what this tastes like. It's going to taste amazing because I haven't eaten anything in a while. Oh, and yes, it is. Delicious. That is delicious. So when we're talking about breaking a fast, the things that we want to do, we want to make sure that we don't eat heavy, irritating things, particularly if you've been doing one of the longer fasts, like I have been doing. because your stomach is resting those cells. And if you put things in where the body has to now produce a lot of, because there are protective cells in the stomach, in the GI tract, I guess I should say. And when you fast, particularly the longer fast, then those cells actually become quiet. They're not producing the stuff that uses to line the GI tract. And so when you start eating, if you all of a sudden put a heavy meal in, then those cells have to wake up quickly and begin doing their work again. And so people can have nausea, bloating. Sometimes they'll have increased elimination as a result. So broth is actually a great way to break a fast. Oh, and this is delicious. Tastes so good. All right, so once again, this is what I'm having. And what have you guys used in the past to break fasts? Delicious, delicious. All right, let me go ahead and I don't anticipate that this would spike my blood sugar much, but let's go ahead and have some of the garbanzo beans, because that, yeah, that should spike, and so let's get that in. And right now, this just has some salt, pepper, and what else did I put in here? Garlic powder. Yep. Wow. Delicious. Now, one of the things that starts happening to me sometimes when I start eating after I've been fasting is that initial process of eating. The back of my throat sometimes will get a little sore, a little irritated. And I'm not really sure why that is, because like right now, as soon as I started eating, I felt like right here. Yeah, right there. Because this doesn't have anything sour in it. But I think my glands are just starting to wake up, and they're starting to produce, because you know you have salivary glands. There's some here, submental, submandibular. And because I'm eating, they're producing lubrication. And they feel a little sore. I did not know garbanzo beans could be so good. I don't think I'm going to eat the whole thing. But I am tempted, y'all. It's a good thing this is not chocolate. Because if it were chocolate, oh yeah. Okay, so I think that's about half of it. And have some more broth. And I haven't had any of the, I've not had any of the sausage yet. Delicious. And actually, I was so excited to start eating. I didn't know what the blood sugar was. I think was it 76 when I started. I'll have to go back and look. And then of course here is the sausage. Wow, wow, wow. Now I know that there are people that break the fast with lots of different things. One of the reasons I actually like doing the food after the fast is I can actually see what specifically happens to my blood sugar. And I know it can't be related to anything else I ate because I haven't been eating. So whatever we see in blood sugar right now is directly due to the food that I'm eating right now. Now, one of the things I've noticed is when I do my show, if I start with a blood sugar of 100, by the end of the show, my blood sugar will go up about 15 points. And I think that just has to do with the cortisol that's going, and just another indication that it's not just about food. Right? Remember, your blood sugar is a combination of your blood sugar at any given moment. When you check your blood sugar, it's a combination of all the hormonal, physical, psychological, all the things that is going on with you for the last several hours, right? Not just the last meal that you ate. It's how did you sleep last night? What did you have for breakfast yesterday? Not just this morning, but what did you have for breakfast yesterday? Were you in pain? Are you anxious right now? Are you worried about something? All of that will affect the blood sugar. Okay. So I'm going to I can't stop, y'all. I can't stop. Okay, stop. Stop, Dwain. All right. So we'll do that. Maybe another spoon of garbanzo beans. And some more broth. So good. All right. So there it is. And so we will start our. So we're gonna check this again in 2 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and set a timer. And let's look at that together. So I'm gonna set a timer for 2 hours, right? Because in 2 hours I want to check it, and that's the marker, right? At least that's what we've decided as a community, as a group. At 2 hours, as a specialty, at 2 hours the blood sugar should be a particular thing. So we're gonna check it again in 2 hours, and we're gonna go ahead because I just finished eating. Everything is gone, and we're gonna start that in 2 hours. And then we'll come back. Actually, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to also I want to set another one. Can I do another one? I'm going to set another one for 1 hour. So in 1 hour, I'll look at it again. And then 2 hours. So I've got two alarms that are set at 1 hour and then at 2 hours. Awesome. All right, and then let's go back and take a look at here. So 76, so blood sugar started, I believe it started at 76. And we'll see what that is as we move throughout this space. Awesome. Yeah, very good. Okay, so what I didn't do was I did not do my shout outs. Let me go ahead and do that now, and then we'll take a look at, we'll do a check-in, and then we'll get into our discussion. So let's see who's out there. We see some of our community members. Let's just go back up. So Gian is saying, hi, doctor. All right, let's get that up here. So Gian is saying, hi, doctor. And hi, Wood Gang. Saying hello to everybody. 76, amazing. Doctor, you are amazing. Oh, thank you, Gian. Doctor, actually, I couldn't make 48-hour fast. I ate yesterday, binge. I'm so weak for food so far. Well, remember the food, the drive to eat, that trigger or that craving is very strong. And so our goal as we're walking through the limitless living path, the tools that we're using, are with the intention of trying to see how can we improve our response to food. Remember, we eat for lots of different reasons. You remember the HEAT model, habits, emotions, access, and taste? We eat because of habits, because of the routines that we've gotten into. Well, we eat popcorn because we go to the movies. We get donut and coffee because we sit down with a friend at a coffee shop. We're not hungry, but because of the routine, because of the habit that we've gotten into, we do that. We eat because of emotions. When we're happy, when we're sad, when we're mad, when we're lonely, right? All of those things, if those emotions get strong enough, they will push through our desire and our decision to not eat. Habits, emotions, access, when things are just around us. Right? That's why I don't keep certain things at my house. I'll eat it when I go out, or I will buy a small pack of it. But if I buy, like, for real, like if I buy, you go to Sam's or one of those big box stores and they give you the 1,000,000 pounds of nuts, of mixed nuts for $2. If I bring that home, if I walk into the house with it right now, by tomorrow lunchtime, it's all gone. That big bag, yeah, the big thing. Chocolate, Cadbury. I told you guys saw, you actually didn't see because I couldn't find the video, when we were in London. Across the street from the hotel room, there's a store right there. Walked in, guess what's there? There's Cadbury, right? And they were huge, not like the size that we got here. It was like big. I was like, what in the world? What did they feed that Cadbury? Okay, so we eat because of that, and we also eat because of taste. Remember the bliss point, the perfect combination of fat, salt, and sugar. When you eat it, you can't just have one. And the food. We're not chasing the food. We're chasing the thing that the food does for us. It's the memory that it brings back. It's the comfort. It's the fact that mom used to make that. Or when I was growing up, we used to eat that all the time. And the food may not even have been that good to you, but because it brings back that memory of that time when you ate it with that person and you felt that way. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. Those are the things that push us to eat. So yes, John, I get it. I get it. It is a big issue for lots of us. Cornelia says, hi, doctor, and congrats on 76 hours. Hi, Gian. Thank you, Cornelia. Said, I'm ashamed of failing my fast. Even doctor gave hand claps. Hey, we celebrate each other. Wherever we are. So whether you're doing a 16-8, a 12 and 12, 24-hour, one of the extended fast, alternate day fasting, one meal a day, whatever it is, we're celebrating because it is helping you to help right your dysregulated metabolism. Gianna is saying hi to Cornelia. Steve says, question. Recently, my glucose levels have been wonderful, less than 100. However, I've been dropping into the low 50s at night. Should I be concerned? Well, Steve, it depends on what else is going on, right? Make sure you contact your provider and ask that question. But it depends on what else is going on. If you are fasting, remember, when we're fasting, our blood sugars will go down. Like you didn't see on this, but my blood sugar, according to my Libre app, today has been below 50, below 60s the whole time. But because I'm fasting and my body is burning fat to create ketones, that's not as big a concern, right? So it depends on what is going on, depends on what your ketones are, depends on whether you're on medication that continues to bring your blood sugar down. All of that is important. Important consideration when we talk about, is that something you should be concerned about? Okay, but definitely you want to make sure you check bases or touch bases with the office. Gian says, yes, I'm going into fast again. Said I failed so far this week. Remember, we're fasting once a week. Once a week. So it is possible to break a fast and go right into a fast. I made a comment, I think it was last night, in our after the show meetup with our community members, that if often we think all or none, right? So if you're planning to do a 48-hour fast, for example, and you're 36 hours into the fast, and something happens and you break the fast, you eat something inadvertently or even deliberately because of the craving, there's nothing wrong with right after that fast going back into the fast, right? There's nothing wrong with if you decide to do that. But it is not a penalty to go into the fast. Let me say that again. So if you see the fasting as punishment, now, well, man, I guess I ate, so I guess I better start this fast over. If you see that as a punishment, the mentation that you use when you go into that fast is going to be horrendous. But if you decide that you're going to do that, say, well, you know what? I actually did pretty well, and I got to 36 hours. I think I'm just going to continue this fast. I'm going to do that. I'm making the decision to do that. Then there's not a problem with that. But if you see that as a punishment, then your brain starts to do all kinds of weird things for you. Gian says, hi, Steve. Cornelia says, hi, Steve. Great job, Steve. Blood sugars. Yes, I forgot to say that, Steve. So good job in getting those blood sugars down. Steve saying, hello, Gian. Gian says 2.2. Well, I don't think it's going to be 2.2. I think it's going to be back where we had it. Steve says mine is 2.2. Hello, Cornelia. Cornelia says, wow, Steve, your numbers look great. 2.7 is Cornelia's guess. And Steve is saying, thank you. Wow, I got you, Steve. Cornelia says, you're welcome. Amazing. So just want to get through some of these. Steve says, Cornelia, we've been doing the fasting for a year. My numbers were terrible for about 6 weeks after my heart episode. The last month has been great. I'm hoping that my heart is healing and maintaining. Yes, definitely. Gina says, Dr. Woods, Dr. Woods mukbang, are you watching? Huh. Dr. Woods gang. Okay, Wood gang. Okay. Had to decipher that for a minute. So he says, maintaining the lifestyle is causing my healing. Yes. So good point. So just in our, if you've been following us on the 100-day walk to consistency, great stuff out there, by the way. Right? Remember, that's one of the tools that we're using. One of the things I was talking about was in one of the most recent episodes, is this idea. So now that you are fasting, now that you've gotten into that rhythm, now that it's a whole old hat for you, now that it's part of your routine, what's next? Whenever I come on, I say, hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. So we're taking charge. We're avoiding complications, right? And we're going to the next level. Take charge of your health and life. Avoid complications. Go to the next level and create the life you've wanted. So remember, notice the progression. We're taking charge. By taking charge, we're avoiding complications. When we avoid complications, once we've got the routine, we got to go to the next level. What's next? Now that I've got my blood sugar under control, what about my weight? Now I've got my weight under control, right? Because we're talking about the domains of health, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of those. So what's next? What's next on that list? That's why the limitless living inventory is so important. Gion says you are going to better and better sleep. Yes. Cornelia said, I love breaking a long fast with broth. I feel excited about breaking a fast, and the broth forces me to eat slowly. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Therefore, I can savor the flavor and calm down. Yes, Cornelia. Yes, I love that. I love that. John said, Doctor, how do you cook the chickpeas? Well, the chickpeas, to be honest, I took them, put them in a bowl. I threw some salt, some pepper, and some garlic powder on it, and I just stirred them in the microwave. That's it. So very simple, because I didn't want to do anything like I did, because I usually add onions and peppers and that kind of stuff to it, but I didn't want to do anything to add to it. So I just wanted to just plain chickpeas. So I did that bare style, bare bones. Great Cornelia, thank you, Gian. Doctor, I would love to break my fast with chocolate. Oh, me too, me too. Same here, right, Gian? I had that very thought, Steve. I thought this process is healing your body, and it's so amazing to see. I'm so happy for you and for the family, definitely. All right, so that's what that is. We'll come back and we'll talk, have some more check-ins, but just want to make sure that we go through that. So let's talk about my check-in, which I didn't do before now, but we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Remember, there are three things that we talk about when we talk about our check-in. We talk about how we're doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I do have something that I wanted to do here. So physically, and these are part of the domains, right? The domains of health. One of the most important three, by the way. How I'm doing physically. When we fast, we sometimes will feel lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, feel palpitations like our heart is racing, skipping a beat. And I felt that today. I felt lightheaded. As a matter of fact, I was coming home, so I went to pick my son up from school, and so he was driving, and we got out because I had just done one of my walking episodes, and I just felt woozy. So I thought initially that because it was cold and then it got warm, and I was like, oh, it's the change in temperature. But what I realized, and I was picking him up at maybe 2:00 this afternoon. And what I realized was today, up until the time that I started walking, I had not had anything to drink. Yeah. And so what I was feeling was the effects of dehydration. And so once I started drinking, I actually felt much better in that process. And so that's just another example of what can happen if we're not paying attention. Because when we don't eat, when we're fasting, we also don't think about drinking. So it has to be a conscious thing for us. But other than that, I'm not feeling weak or tired. Just that kind of lightheadedness, wooziness that I felt earlier. And then mental. So if we're tired, if we're not doing a good job of making sure that we are we're dealing with fatigue, then our thought process will change as well. Because we'll feel foggy-headed, lightheaded, dizzy, feel like we're in a bubble, like we can't think. And in fact, when we were coming home, I was glad that he was driving, right? Because I was feeling woozy, and it was like I was having a difficult time just even thinking, right? Because I was like, what in the world is going on? And it wasn't until I started hydrating that actually I felt better, energy came back, and my thought process improved. So that was what's going on with me today. And then emotionally, actually, I'm feeling pretty excited. Excited to be back home. We were gone last week, and excited to be back home. Excited to be back with the family. There's some interesting things that happened. I had a meeting last night with some interesting folks and got to meet them and hear their thoughts. So that was fun for me. And so coming into the weekend, hey, this is just all fun. And so we saw the meter. What we didn't look at was we did not look at my monitor or my report, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at that here in just a little while. And that's what you see off to the side here. But we'll come back and we'll run through some of those numbers. But let's go ahead and let's get into our conversation. about fasting. And to have that conversation, there are a couple of things that I always tell people, and I want you to understand that fasting is not just a abstaining from food. It's not just, hey, I didn't eat anything. There are a lot of things that go on in fasting, and if we're not careful, we will miss those, and we can actually set ourselves up to not have a good fast. And when we don't get through a particular fast well, then it sets us up for difficulty in the fast that we try to do later. Because the brain remembers. Your brain will remember what it was like when you tried to fast that last time. And you're like, well, man, the last time I tried to do this, it didn't work well. And so you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. And so we blame it on the fast. So preparing for the fast is very, very important. And so we're going to talk a little bit about do a fasting review, what you need to know. What do you need to know for the fast? And when I talk about fasting, I kind of break it up into 3 different phases. It is, how do we prepare for the fast? How do we successfully get through the fast, and what goes on in our body during the fast? And of course, breaking the fast is as important as the other 2, because we can break the fast and undo the benefits that we had during the fast. Yes, we can. I've proven that. I've shown that in my own personal experience. And so, how to get ready for the fast? So first of all, why is fasting preparation key? It is because how you prepare for the fast ultimately leads to what happens in the fast. It leads to your success. If you do poorly here, then the fast itself goes bad, breaking the fast goes bad, your experience goes bad, the benefits that you get go bad, and then we're off to the races. Preparing for the fast means that there is a physical, mental, and emotional component to this. That's why I say it is not just about not eating food. There are a lot of emotions that come up during the fast, particularly as you do longer fast, because we're so used to using food for lots of different things, for lots of the emotional comfort that we get. And when we're fasting, we don't have that crutch anymore. Whatever comes, we've got to just face it. We've got to deal with it head on. And that sets up for a lot of emotional issues. Mental, there are a lot of hormonal changes that are going on. In our last episode, we talked about trusting your body again. And we've gotten so used to misinterpreting the cues that our body gives. When our stomachs growl, we think we're hungry. All that means is your stomach is empty. Right? We get that craving. We think, man, I can't not eat chocolate. If I don't eat chocolate, I'm going to die. And when we fast, we realize, well, no, you're not going to die. You're still here. So it's a mental, emotional, and a physical thing. Once again, if you don't prepare well, if you don't stay hydrated and all that, which we'll talk about in a minute, then you can have difficulty in the fast. And then it allows you to determine the milestones. You can set milestones. Hey, I'm going to be at this point at this time in the fast. I'm going to be at this point at this time in the fast. And you get to celebrate those as you go through the fast. So mental preparation. When we prepare mentally, what we're doing is we are creating a vision. And there's several things that we can do. We can set clear goals. We can visualize what's going on. We educate ourselves on the fast, and then we can use things to help support us. So all we're doing is we're getting our mind ready to attack this thing that we're about to do. So if you just show up and say, okay, I'm not going to eat for 3 days. I'm not going to eat for 48 hours. You may be able to get through it, but it's going to be a mental issue, particularly depending on what you ate just as you're getting through the fast. So visualize. When you're visualizing, you can imagine what the benefits are. That sets you up for success. Affirmations. I am doing what I can to improve my body. I am improving my metabolism. I am improving my insulin resistance. You want to support that inner coach, that part of you that's going to drive you, that's going to push you, that's going to cheer you on. You don't want to support the inner critic. Because the inner critic is all the negative stuff. Well, the last time we tried that, this didn't work. The last time we tried this, I was lightheaded. Last time we tried it, it was dizzy. Man, I went through that fast for 48 hours, and when I came out of the fast, my weight was higher. That's the inner critic. So we want to give the inner coach the things it needs to support us in our fasting. And then nutritional preparation. And this one, the big point that I want to make here is what you eat coming into the fast will determine those first 6 to 12 hours, what it's going to be like. It will determine what happens if you're doing an extended fast. It will determine how quickly you get into ketosis. That's right, the food that you ate. Sometimes we'll say, man, I'm about to fast for 48 hours, 24 hours. So I'm going to just eat all the candy I can because I know for the next 2 hours, next 2 days, I'm not going to have that. You know what happens? Your body takes longer to get into ketosis because now it has to process all the sugar that you just ate. It stores it in the liver, and it takes a while for the liver to give up the glycogen. Because your insulin levels are high, because of the sugar you just ate, then the insulin levels are high. The appetite is stimulated during those first 6 hours. That's the postprandial period. Your weight goes up because insulin is a storage hormone. And then you get those dips in blood sugar because of in your energy because of the drop in the blood sugar. And now we begin craving even more. So what you eat coming into the fast is very, very important. And of course, eating healthy fats and protein, the fats that you eat will help produce something called CCK, cholecystokinin, that will help our body feel like it's fuller longer. The protein that we eat will help with that as well. It produces protein YY. That helps to support our ghrelin and our leptin. They slow the food as it moves through your stomach so you feel fuller longer. That's exactly the same thing that we talk about when we talk about the GLPs, right? All those medications that people are using. It suppresses the appetite to tax the brain. It also slows food as it moves through the stomach, and so people feel fuller longer. So we're hitting it on multiple fronts. So very important how we prepare as we get to the fast. And then hydration. As I pointed out for myself, I didn't do a good job of hydrating in the fast, but you want to make sure that leading up to the fast, you're also hydrating. That you're putting when you get into the fast, most of us actually, for even forgetting about fasting for a minute, most of us are already on the dehydrated side because we don't drink enough. And so if you're already there and then you get into the fast, when you're not eating, you also don't think about drinking, like for what happened to me. And so we set ourselves up for this difficulty. So you want to make sure that you're drinking lots of water leading up to the fast to ensure that you have adequate hydration and that you have getting adequate electrolytes. And you may find that you will need electrolytes during the fast itself. And then you want to engage in some light exercise. We talked about this in terms of boosting ketones. So if you're a strenuous exercise, you want to decrease that because what's happening is you're using the energy for that. And during the fast, that can set you up for some difficulty. So you want to minimize or decrease the exercise unless you're doing fasting workouts. That's a whole nother conversation, right? So things like walking, swimming, yoga, those are good. You want to begin doing that about 1 to 2 days before you start fasting. You want to get good rest. Because if you don't get good rest, when your body begins shifting from the energy sources, because we're going from carbohydrates to fats, and if you're not well rested, that changeover can feel very difficult. It could be profound when people talk about the dips in their energy. And then you want to prepare your environment, right? Clear out the temptations. Remove unhealthy snacks. And that unhealthy is deliberately scratched out because there is no physiologic reason for snacking. There is none. And so we put snacks in there, but snacks, remember, if we're not careful, then those snacks keep our blood sugars slightly elevated, keeps our insulin levels up, and that is a whole nother thing. So you want to create fasting-friendly zones. Keep your kitchen clear. You want to make sure that you have teas and waters and fasting-supporting fluids. So prepare some distractions. Plan to go for a walk, plan to read, plan to do a hobby, plan to get together with friends where it doesn't involve food, to take your mind off of the hunger. Remember, true hunger comes in waves. It comes, and if you kind of last through it, it'll go away. And it's not urgent. But when we get cravings, yeah, it come and it seems like I got to eat right now. It's an emergency. And then you want to prepare socially, right? Let your family, your friends know what's going on. This is what I'm going to be doing, so that they're not planning stuff during that time. And then here's some takeaways. Preparation is key. You want to prepare mentally, you want to get good rest, and you want to eat nutrient-dense meals, not calorie-dense. And you want to get into community. This community, amazing, right? Support each other as we move through this path together. So that's preparation. Preparing for the fast, fasting successfully, right? When we're fasting, there are a lot of things that go on. And I usually talk about fasting in little blocks, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. We're going to do a little differently, and we're going to kind of chunk that up in the 24 hour. We're going to talk about 0 to about 36 hours or so. And the first period after you finish eating really is called the postprandial period. This is where your body is breaking down the food. The things that you eat, the body is taking it and it is mashing it up, it is extracting the nutrients from it. It's sending some to storage, whatever it doesn't need right now. So this is what's going on during that time. And your energy levels are high, insulin levels are high, glucose levels are high, right? Because it's extracting it from the food. And the digestive system is just absorbing everything. So that's the postprandial period. And the next period is what's called the early fasting state. The early fasting state. So insulin levels are starting to go down. This is the 6 to 12 hours, because the food is being processed, but it's now starting to get less and less because we've done it. Glucagon levels are going up, because remember, glucagon and insulin are opposite. When blood sugars are high, insulin is there. As the blood sugars begin to drop, glucagon comes out. And glucagon is now telling the body, hey, the stuff that we just ate, that we stored, that we just processed, that we put some in the liver, can you give it back to me now? Because I need energy. Right? It's kind of like coming home, you're cooking something, and you're putting the excess, the leftover, in the refrigerator. But if you went to one of the big box stores, when you come home, you cook some, the leftovers will go in the refrigerator, and the big container, the big bag of rice or whatever it is that you bought, goes into the pantry. And we don't access that yet until the stuff in the refrigerator is gone. So 0 to 6 hours, 6 to 12 hours of early fasting state. And then the 12 to 18 hours, we're transitioning into fat burning. Glucose levels are continuing to go down because we're using up all the stuff that's in the liver and the blood, and fat oxidation is starting to happen. The liver starts gluconeogenesis now, which is where it takes non-carbohydrate sources and begins turning it into sugar. So it's breaking down triglycerides and it's taking the glycerol part and making sugar out of it. And the energy level may dip. This is right here what I'm talking about. If you're not well rested, when this starts to happen, you can feel profoundly tired if you're not well rested, because it just enhances it. It makes it more pronounced. So we're transitioning into using fat right there at the 12 to 18 hour mark. And then from the 18 to 24, ketosis is beginning. So the glycogen stores are nearing depletion. Ketones are increasing. The body's now going after the lipids, the fat cells. And autophagy is starting. Remember, autophagy is that amazing process that happens as the body is reclaiming, recycling broken, damaged, unused parts of itself. And we love this because this is where the decrease in inflammation happens. This is where our immune system gets supercharged. This is where we start talking about the benefits of for neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Yeah, amazing process here. And this is at the 16 to 24 hour mark. Love it, love it. And then 16 to 24 hour mark. And then adaptation, fat adaptation. So at this point, and we talked about this when we did check-ins earlier this week, at this point, your body is significantly increasing its ketone production. Because there's the food, the sugar in the blood is gone, right? The stuff that's circulating around. The body is now has taken out from the liver the glycogen, and that's now depleted. And the body now says, hey, I've got to get some more energy from somewhere. And it goes over and it starts burning y'all the fat. This stuff right here. I love it. Because that's what's going on. The fat is going away. And we're converting that into ketones. Also, this is where people say, man, my energy levels are starting to stabilize. I feel good. I feel energetic. My thought process is clear. Because the body's using beta hydroxybutyrate for the brain, ketones into the blood. When we fast, our growth hormone levels go up, and so our muscle mass and our just general energy feels good. So we're living great at this point because our fat has been adapted. And then, of course, when we break our fast, which is the next phase, we want to make sure that we're doing all the things that we need to do. And that's why, breaking the fast here, I love the things that we eat. So we got some garbanzo beans, we've got some sausage, and of course we've got the bone broth that we use. These are perfect, great ways of breaking the fast. But here are some tips. Here are some tips that we want to give you for breaking the fast. Number one, you want to monitor your blood sugar and monitor perhaps ketones. Yes. Very important. You want to know, if we're talking about metabolism, you want to know what things are doing to your body. When I eat, what foods are affecting me? When I'm sleeping, what is that doing to my blood sugar? My stress, my exercise. And the surest way of knowing what's going on inside is to monitor it. That's why I'm a big proponent of monitoring. You guys see I monitor my stuff all the time. We want to look at portions. Often it's not that we're eating the wrong thing, but we're eating too much of that thing and not doing anything about it. So let me throw that in. Because it is possible to eat too much of something and do something about it to offset it, like exercise. Now, the amount of exercise that you've got to do to burn off the calories that you eat, right, that's huge. And depending on the thing you eat, it's not just about the calories. For example, if you eat a cookie and you eat a piece of meat that has exactly the same calories, the meat is not going to cause a spike in blood sugar. The cookie will, and when it causes a spike in blood sugar, insulin has to come out to deal with that blood sugar. And once insulin comes out, it sends a whole lot of downstream signals. So it's not just about the calories, it's also about the things that the food tell our body on what to do. Because the insulin is going to tell you to store the stuff, store the calories. It's going to make you hungry because it's a stimulant, appetite stimulant. If the insulin is elevated, then you're going to have harder vessels, so blood pressure goes up. It's going to tell the body to store it in the liver. So now we've got fatty liver. So there are all these downstream things that come from the food that we eat. So portion control, very important. And then eat slowly. Eat slowly. It takes about 20 minutes for your body to send a signal to the brain that you're full. So if you're eating and you're just slopping it up or sucking it down, then you've already eaten 2 to 3 times more than you should before the body before the brain gets the signal that you're full. And I guess they shouldn't say that the body sends a signal in 20 minutes. It takes 20 minutes for the brain to get the signal. And then you want to avoid sugary, highly processed foods. Because what happens when the sugar comes out, as we just said, the insulin's going to come out. And when the insulin comes out, oh man, it's going to cause us some issues. So you want to make sure that when you're breaking the fast, you don't undo the things that bring benefit in the fast. And then here's some considerations. When we're talking about fasting, you want to make sure, here's some tips for you, and you're breaking the fast. Number one, when you break the fast, what you want to do is you want to choose foods that help maintain stable blood sugars while offering nutrition and are gentle on the stomach. Remember we talked about the fact that those cells are waking up? You're going to focus on low glycemic index foods, lean protein, healthy fats. Make sure you're well hydrated. Those are the things that are going to set you up for success as you get to the end of the fast. Otherwise, we can cause undue challenges for us as we are trying to, whether it's weight or blood sugars or metabolic disease, any of those things, we can set ourselves up for difficulty if we don't do a good job. Right? All right, so let's go ahead and let's hop over back over and see what we've got. Some of our community members. Cornelia said, I never thought I would hear myself say, I'm looking forward to not eating. I love it. Yes, I enjoy getting into a fast. When I'm going to a fast, I get excited because the food noise is about to go away. Gion says, same here, Cornelia. So Cornelia says, yes, it sounds like it's time for self-love. You did great to fast as long as you did. Give yourself credit for those hours. Now you can be excited about the new fast. Yes, love it. Cornelia, that's great. Great advice. Cornelia says, prepare well. We got this. Gion, do you feel like you're benefiting from the fasting you've done? Cornelia said, are you saying fasting is in general feels like punishment because of how you feel when you fast? So here's the thing. Going back to that point, and thanks for that. So here's a scenario, or here's a conversation we sometimes have with ourselves. Man, I ate all that chocolate, so I guess I have to fast to make up for it. Do you hear the words, and do you hear how it goes? It sounds like punishment, and we use it as punishment. So fasting is not a punishment. Fasting is a tool that we're using. If we position it as a punishment, then the fasting does not go well because our body, our brain, our mind is going to rebel. That's why if you break the fast other than when you want, something happens, you get mad, you get upset, you eat. The thought process there is not, oh my goodness, I guess I have to fast again. It is the thought process at that point is saying, okay, how far did I get into the fast? What happened to make me break the fast? And do I need to continue the fast, or do I need to deal with the thing that caused me to break the fast? Notice we're problem solving. We're not punishing ourselves by putting ourselves right back into the fast. Okay? All right. Let's see. Cornelia says, we all think you're doing well. Yes. When I fast, I feel like overcoming my food addiction. This is why I am fasting. Gion says, I cannot control food, so I use fasting to overcome weakness for food. Very good. A lot of us do that. And like I said, when I get into a fast, when I'm coming up on the fast, I'm excited because I know the food noise is about to go away. I want to control. Gion says, I think I have food addiction. It makes me makes fasting hard, and I feel deprived for food. Yeah, this idea, the scarcity mentality that we go through sometimes when it comes to fasting is a powerful thing because it says to us, hey, we're never going to have that again. You're never going to be able to eat again. And when we're in the fast and we come out of the fast, oh, let me go ahead and get all I can because of all the stuff I didn't eat when I was in the fast. So very important that we are dealing with the thought process that goes along with fasting. Okay. All right, so let's hop over. And you guys remember that my blood sugar started out at 76 when I ate, and here we are. It's 96 now, so it's gone up by 20 points. Let's see how far we've gone. So we've got 20 minutes, so we've done 40 minutes so far since I ended the food, right? Ended the food. So we're 20 points higher than we were before. And we're still waiting for my Libre to come up. So we got 3 minutes on that. So we'll see what that shows us here in just a little bit. In the meantime, let's go ahead and hop over to my Dexcom report. This is my Dexcom Clarity report. You'll see there my average blood sugar of 101. I am in target 95% of the time. Target being anywhere from 70 to 180. And my glucose management indicator is 5.7. So if I were to get an A1C right now, that's what it would approximate. If I look at my daily graphs, and you'll see here, look at that. All right, so this is, let's see what's going on here. Let's head back. So that was Friday. This is Thursday, coming into the fast. Not coming into fast, but this was what was that? 48 plus 4, 52 hours of fasting. And you see that blood sugar, look at that, in the 60s and 70s. It dipped down here to the 40s. 24 hours before that, we're at 29 hours. So blood sugar is once again in the low 70s to 80s. And then the day before that, right, at 0 hours, 0 hours was actually up here, we were in the 80s. So great blood sugars. I love that. And of course, this was us coming back on the plane. And once we got to the airport, I had a Impossible Burger, half of an Impossible Burger. And that's what, look at that. That's what caused that spike up into the 180s, 185. All right, so let's hop over and let's take a look at my Keto Mojo. Right, Keto Mojo. We want to see what the what the ketones are. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Let's get here. Where's my app? All right, so Keto Mojo, and let me go ahead and hold this up. So turn it on. Actually, let me do this. I want to get the food in the picture, but that's okay. All right, so here it is, and we're gonna go ahead and sync it, and it'll pull all that information over. Scanning in progress, and drum roll, please. Drum roll, drum roll. And right now, let's go back here. My blood sugar is 52, and the ketones are 0.1. Okay. Now, one of the things that I've been looking at today is this idea that once you become metabolically flexible and your body is able to process ketones well, it doesn't require as many ketones, right? So I'm actually going to get another ketone meter so that I can make sure that everything here is okay. So we'll see what that is. But that's the thought process right now. That we are in ketosis. My weight's gone down. In fact, let me go ahead and pop that up. Pull up my there it is. So 188.2 is what you see there. BMI of 26.9. So I've got 1.9 points more to go to get to 25. Yep. And that's about, let's see, so 1, 2, that's about, if I convert that to pounds, that's about 8 or 9, 8 pounds, 7.5 to 8 pounds. Okay. Got this so far? Awesome. All right. So, we are continuing the process of reversing our metabolism, reversing or righting our metabolism, I should say. Remember, dysregulated metabolism is the problem. And all that we do is with the intention of getting that back on track. And everything that we do is built on the Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, the blogs, the podcasts. We empower with the tools that we learn, like fasting, balanced bites, the 100-day walk to consistency that's going on right now in the morning at 6 o'clock. And just another plug for that, if you're not with us, if you have not been joining us in the morning, you want to make sure you get there. All of those videos are out on the YouTube channel, and you can get there. You can, if you've not been doing it with us, that's okay. You can watch it. You can go back and watch. You can go back and watch that, and be sure that you are doing the challenges, because we're setting ourselves up for success by creating a structure. Remember, rhythm, alignment, and structure. That's what we're dealing with. Those are the keys to success. The rhythm, what's the general tone, the general tenure of your life? What is your alignment? Are the things you're doing, the things on a daily basis, do they line up with the things you say you want? And then, do we have structure to keep us going in the direction we need to go? So we've broken the 100-day walk into weeks, right? So there's a playlist for each of the weeks, and and they have titles, right? So managing setbacks and staying the course is the title of this one. And so there are videos from each of the days. I think we're on day 80 right now. Remember, 100-day walk to consistency. When some people started, they didn't think they could make it to 2 days or 5 days or 10 days. And here we are 80 days in to the process. So we educate, we empower, and then we encourage. We encourage with the community that you're a part of. And my ask is this: when you show up, tell your story. Share where you are. Share the successes you've had. Share the obstacles that you're encountering, because that itself encourages other people. Because if you can do it, then I can do it also. And then we get to come around you and support you, so that you know that you're not alone. And then let somebody else know. So it's not just about what you do, it's about how you impact those people around you. Limitless Living says, right? So we're in a limitless living process or posture. We are breaking free from boundaries. We're breaking free from those obstacles. We're breaking free from those constraints. We're presenting our best self, our best health, our best plans for our lives. And part of that is improving our community. Over 1 billion people on the planet with diabetes or pre-diabetes. You can be a voice for change to let them know, hey, there's a place where we can go, and there are some great videos, there's some great resources that you can use, that you can do in this process of reversing diabetes. And later this week, we will be back. So tomorrow, I shouldn't say later this week. Tomorrow, we'll be back with video from the vault at 9 o'clock on the channel. And then Sunday morning at 6 a.m. This week in review. Make sure you join us. And then on Monday, we'll be back in the saddle, y'all, for Dwain Woode MD Live, as we continue our discussion and our talk and our trek down the pathway of limitless living. Just so excited that you're here. Glad for all of our community members. We'll have that link up in a minute for our after the show. Make sure you join us there so we can chat it up for a little while and see how everybody's doing. Join us as we continue this pathway. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, we're living limitless lives. And limitless living says we're not going to be confined. We're showing up with our best selves, our best health, our best life. I want you to know that you can take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level, and create the life you've always wanted. Thank you for being here. We'll see you at our next show. Good night, everybody.